welcome back to HeartPostured. This is now episode 7, and still going through the ropes of this and the ropes of sharing and talking and all of the things technical and all of the things being a mom, and then also trying to find time for things like this. But my daughter's sleeping right now, so I'm gonna take this time to record and do today's episode. That I said last episode it was going to be about my testimony and my story, and like where it all began and how I got to where I am right now, physically, mentally, and all of the things in between, maybe, possibly. But yeah, so this is my story. My name is Rose. My original name is Roseanne, but I changed it to Rose when I became a citizen, because I wasn't born in the U.S. I was born in Dominican Republic, and I came when I was 6. So just by that, you can imagine, like, a young girl coming to the U.S., like learning everything, don't know English, don't know what's going on, just following my parents and my family. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't remember growing up, especially, before I came to the US. A lot of that life I do not recall. I'm not sure why, because I do know that they say statistically that, children don't really have many memories, don't remember things up to like 4 years old. And I guess I do remember like small little things, but not anything in particular, when I was living in the Dominican Republic. But more so once I stepped into the US at 6 years old, that's when I started like being more aware, I guess you can say. But yeah, once I came here, I started school. I went to many different schools, starting from first grade down to high school. From first grade to high school, I was in many different schools. I was talking to my husband about this the other day, that I've been to probably over 8, 9 schools, and how he has always been like, in one school and then, straight into high school. So in that we differ. And I do know that I noticed that in me, myself, that I guess having many different schools, it gave me a different perspective in school, and how I'm like, no, like, like I didn't have a good experience. I feel like I couldn't really like focus and learn as other students were able to. But again, it differs to everyone, but that's just how I took it in, coming here. And just looking back to that, that's what I've been noticing now that I'm, out of school and out of high school and college. So yeah, once I hit high school, that's when I, was in high school for 4 years in the same high school. And I feel like all throughout school, like I went through different instances of like having to get to know new friends and get to know new teachers and get to know new everything, every couple to 1 year, 2, 3 years, I was being switched to another school. So I feel like I didn't get a chance to really like, like think about it, like going to many different schools. That's crazy. Because there's not much stability there, in my opinion. But my parents had to do what they had to do. So, like I don't blame them for it, because again, like now that I'm older, like I really realize, wow, like my parents really went through a lot. Because now as an adult, I'm like, wow, like life is, has this twists and turns, and you don't know why things go down the way they do. They just do sometimes. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I feel like the turning point for me when I started to kind of like okay, so let me go back a little bit. So now that you know that I've been to many different schools, I feel like in each school, like since I was new, most of the time, like I would get kind of like isolated and like, like picked on. So from early age, I did get, like bullied and like, little comments here and there. And I was very shy just because like, like I'm always going to different schools. Like what I'm not gonna sit here and like be all out. But yeah, and then I started to like, now looking back, I know that God was in each move of me growing up, but I feel like where he most showed himself that I didn't realize was when I was, I believe, in seventh or eighth grade, and I remember that I guess I don't even remember this. My friend told me this, and then I remembered like, little bits and pieces of it when she told me. So I do see how like the power of story, the power of, sharing your story to others, it really does kind of like does something to the human brain, because like it brings back remembrance to you of things of your own life. And I guess that's why the word says like we are saved by the, what's the scripture? Galatians 12:11, and it says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. But yeah, I know story is important. So that's what I'm here doing, and I hope that, someone out there resonates or gets to know me, given my past episodes, because it's like, we don't want to judge someone without knowing, what they've been through, what's had happened in their lives. And I feel like as humans, we tend to do that a lot. Like we love to judge and judge and judge and not know what really kind of like molded that person to act or be a certain way. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying. So yeah, growing up, then my friend shared with me years later, mind you, probably like, I think she shared this with me when I first came to Christ back in 2021. I guess from knowing what I was going through. But yeah, she kind of told me that, I guess I was getting bullied because I had hair on my arms or something like that. Mind you, I'm Latina, so being Latina, you have hair on your arms. Like, come on now. But when you're a kid, like, that's like, it sucks. Like, you don't want to hear people talk bad about, your outer appearance or anything like that. But yeah, so supposedly I wanted to, well, so she told me that I was crying in the bathroom, and she was in the bathroom at the time, and she was just giving me encouraging words. And she gave me a journal, and she gave me a Bible, which was, I believe, in Spanish and in English. And mind you, growing up, we didn't really, go to church. We didn't really read the Bible or anything of that sort. We went to church a couple times, like my family growing up, they were Catholic. My mom told me that her grandma, raised them as Catholic. So yeah, we went to the Catholic church a couple times, but I would never pay attention. I would just sit there like, okay, this is just something that my family's doing, and then we can go home or whatever. And then also I would never really understand what the priest would be saying and stuff. Like I just couldn't really, you know, just I don't know. But yeah, that's what it was growing up. And then I remember taking those things home, and I remember opening the Bible and just not like, okay, like so many words. Let me close this back up. And I think either me or my mom used it to put like phone numbers in like the front of it or something. But I feel like that was my first encounter with the Bible itself. Now that I think back to it. And yeah, from then on, like after 8th grade, during 8th grade, like, like I said, I got bullied. I got thrown in the trash can. Kids being funny or whatever. It was empty, okay? Like it didn't have anything inside, but still, like, just like little things like that in school that kind of like made me feel like, oh my God, like, like it's just made me want to kind of like sink back in to myself. Because kids are mean, people are mean, but yeah, I was always that person that kind of just wanted the peace to be made and everyone to be cool and everyone to be happy. I would never kind of want, drama or anything like that. But again, that's not the life we live in right now. Things happen, people have their own stuff. But yeah, so that's also where I got introduced to, middle school in general. That's when I kind of got introduced to many things. For example, like weed. That's when I got introduced to that, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, being cool or whatever. But that was just like one time that like I tried it, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" And then also, I remember at that time got exposed to, you know, porn, because it would be like on the screen of a family member that I would like go over their house, and I think they would just have that. So I was like, okay, like whatever. I feel like that's when I first got exposed to it, but I didn't realize what was going on. But just so many things that you get exposed to at such a young age, that I feel like when you get exposed to it, you don't know how to take it in, especially if you weren't taught what to do with the information or how to handle it or like how to explain it or, like the why. But yeah, I feel like that's when I got exposed to so many different things. And then once I hit high school, that's when kind of like things started to really trickle down for me. Because, one, like growing up, my parents kind of really fostered me in. Like I wasn't able to really like go out like that, which now that I look back, I'm grateful for that because, like who knows what I would have been more exposed to then. But then again, like it's good to also speak to your children and really like before they get exposed, kind of like, hey, like these things could be happening. But that's just me thinking now, how I feel like as a parent, as parents, we should do better with our children. But then I understand also that it's hard, especially when you're like, with so much, like, especially when you have parents that like work all the time. Like, yeah, my mom worked literally all the time. She would get home like 5 or 6 or something, to cook and then get ready and for bed and on to the next day for work again. So then again, it's like this world doesn't, well, not this world, like society and some instances in life didn't really allow for room to talk. But then again, not necessarily, because I feel like it goes deeper, like generation to generation, that parents don't really talk to their children. But I feel like that's because, they didn't learn it themselves with their own parents. Not trying to bash my mom. She did a great job overall with me. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, so let's, oh my God, this is crazy, but I'm just trying to give a lot of like detail here, but yeah. So yeah, I got exposed to a lot of things, and then once I hit high school, I had like friends that would like, their parents would let them out a lot and all of the things, and I wanted to be a part of that because, like it was the cool thing to do. So yeah, I got into like different things, going to like different like things. I would cut school and all of the things you would think a high school student in a movie would do, type of stuff. Also in a high school that had so much stuff, like there were fights and, like it wasn't the best school, but it did its job. But again, I feel like each child, no matter where you're at, you're going to handle it differently or, like act differently. So I feel like given how like my parents raised me, like to be polite and to, like be careful. But then again, it's like you get low key, you get sucked into a world that you don't even realize until you're in it. But yeah, just a lot of the different things happen in high school. To like smoke, that's when I really started to smoke in high school, and it became more of a thing for me. No, it wasn't really high school that I really started, but I would do it here and there, but it wasn't really a thing yet. But my senior year, I believe that's when it really hit. So once senior year hit for me, I feel like everything was off the table. Like everything was just like whatever, like I'm just gonna live my life and that'll be that. Like I don't care. Not knowing like the things that it would bring, but also at the same time, at that time, like, when you meet a boy and like you supposedly fall in love and all of those things, like it really like can take a toll on you mentally as a child. And also at the same time in senior year, I no longer had my parents. They ended up moving to the Dominican Republic and I was staying with my sister. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, I have all of my freedom now, kind of. So that was also kind of like a shock to like my brain to kind of like just do what I want. So yeah, that's when I really started like to smoke heavily, and that would be my thing. And then once college came around, I decided to move out and go move with my aunt because I also did realize like, okay, like I can't keep living here the way that I am because like I felt like there was nothing there for me anymore in Jersey. So, like given that like I was no longer with, like the guy that I was with, and my parents were no longer there, and I was just smoking and smoking, and college was about to come up, and I didn't really want to go to college in Jersey, and I just wanted to do better. So at least in my mind I knew that I wanted to do better. So yeah, I ended up moving with my aunt, which was good for a moment. I wanted something new. But then again, like I feel like it also ties into the fact how I switched so many schools. I feel like because of that, I'm able to just to up me personally, I'm able to just to up and leave anywhere, like at any given moment. So I feel like also that's kind of like where it stems from. So as you can see, like things literally do connect. Like even though if you don't think it does, it really does. So yeah, so I moved over there. I started school, college. I was going to school for to become a nurse, but as I was studying, I realized that that's not really what I wanted to do anymore. But yeah, over there, I just felt really, really even more isolated than I was because I was missing my friends back in Jersey. And I feel like it was hard for me to kind of like find my way living in New York. Given that I actually did live in New Jersey all of like from 6 years old to like 2021, I believe. No, like from 6 to like 20, and then I moved to New York. No, no, no. I think I was 18. I think I was 18 or 19 when I moved to New York. Something like that. But yeah, so it was just different living in New York. But I was also grateful to have like that space away from everything else in New Jersey, and I felt like it was like a breath of fresh air for some time, you know. But then I quickly realized that I had no real foundation in myself and in God and just anything, and I just was just moving through the motions and living like just living aimlessly, like my mind, I felt. So that's when I actually like, I don't even remember how this happened, but I feel like that's when I started to feel the most depressed, you can say, because of like everything that I was dealing with at the time, like my parents not being there, like having my first heartbreak, and now I'm living in New York and having to start over again, and not having my friends there, and just a whole new thing for me. And it was a lot for me starting college over there. But yeah, I just remembered that I was just so upset that I just didn't feel like being here anymore. So I feel like that's when depression really hit me, and that's when I started to kind of spiral more and more down. But I was trying to like be good, and like I would get ready, I would get cute, I would do my makeup, I would do my hair, and that's when I started really experimenting with my hair, and learning how to do my own hair, like like braiding and half wigs and all of those things. So just a whole bunch of new things that I was experiencing during that time. And also like the New York life is way different than the Jersey life, so that also itself was a big difference for me that I didn't realize it would be. But yeah, just one night, I guess I just didn't want to be here anymore, and I was just crying and crying and crying and crying. I'm like, oh my God, like I just don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to feel this way any longer. Like, what am I going to do? Like I don't feel like nothing matters. Like, I'm going to school right now, but I don't even know if this is what I want to do. Like like I don't have anybody that like with me, like my parents aren't here anymore, and I'm just here like trying to figure this thing out on my own, even though I had family that really loved and cared for me that I was living with. And I don't know, something came over me. I don't know what it was. Till this day, I don't even know myself. But something in my head told me like, oh, like take these pills and it'll help numb everything. I think it was Advil, I think, or Tylenol. So I was like, oh, I'll just take all of them and call it a quits. Or not even, like maybe it'll just numb me if I take more than one or something. I don't know. But yeah, I ended up taking a couple, but I was so like I had so much fear also to not do anything, that I never really like thought to do anything physically to hurt myself, because I was such a scaredy cat to do something like that. But I feel like in that moment I thought I could, but even then I literally couldn't, even though I did took a couple, and I was just hyperventilating, and I was just so anxious, and I was just so distraught. And then at the same time, I think I don't know how I got on the phone with my friend, but I was on the phone with my friend. I don't know if I was texting her and telling her how I feel. I can't recall like everything, but she was telling me like, Rose, no, don't do it. Like, so I feel like that also definitely like helped me to kind of like, okay, I'm crazy. Like, I'm crazy. Like, okay, like she's, I shouldn't be doing this, what I think I'm doing right now. But yeah, I'm really thankful for her at that time. That she kind of like helped me through that moment. But then somehow, she was really worried, which of course who wouldn't be. And then she called my sister, and my sister called my family member, and they got to me in the room, and they called the ambulance. But I was just crying and hyperventilating because like, oh my god, like what did I just do? What am I doing? Like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of all of this? Like, why is this happening to me? And yeah, they took me in the ambulance, and I just felt so bad because like I know my family probably like, oh my god, like what is happening with Rose? Like, she was just fine. Like, mind you, like it's just, I don't know. I feel bad, but yeah, that's what could happen to a brain when so many things are going down and you don't have, I feel like you don't have the proper foundation that I now have. So yeah. So then in the hospital, they were evaluating me, and then they basically took me to like this, like the psych side. They put like this robe on me. They took my phone away. They took everything away from me, and I'm like, that's when it hit me. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like what? Like, I don't know. And then I just numb myself. I was like, okay. But I was also so afraid inside because like, what is gonna happen to me? Why am I here? I don't belong here. Like, I don't know. It was crazy, 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 crazy. And then after that, I remember like my aunt. I love her to death. Like she's the best. But she brought me food the next day, and she told me like, hey, like I know you didn't mean to do that, and just tell me like what happened. And then I explained to her how I felt, and then she kind of helped me kind of like make sense of things a little bit. And then they evaluated me to see if I could go home or not. And then they ended up releasing me, and I went back home. And then I guess I just went back to regular living, back to school, back to everything. And I don't really recall a lot of things. I feel like a lot of things, subconsciously you kind of like block because you don't want to remember these things. But yeah, and then that happened. And then somehow along the way, I ended up moving back to Jersey, and I started college in Jersey. So I did a year and a half, almost 2 years, college in New York, and then I moved back to Jersey, and I went back to college, and I was back with my friends, and I felt like I was more like mentally sane a little bit after what happened, what I went through. But again, just living life aimlessly and just doing what was the correct thing to do, which is, go to school and, like just live life. And then, that's when I also started to get really into fitness world, and I started working out more. I'm gonna stop this here so I can connect that. Yeah, I started working out more once I came back to Jersey and was in college. Like I thought I was, was going good. Like I was passing my classes, and I was getting really into fitness. Like I was starting to gain weight, mind you. At the time, from after graduating high school, like I lost so much weight given everything. I mean, I was already naturally skinny, but I lost even more weight. So I was low-key self-conscious about that. But then once I went back to, the like started to go to the gym with my friend, I started to like, gain some weight again. I was getting like, when you work out, you get nice and toned, and I was really happy about that. And yeah, I started just to live it up and go to school and hit the gym, and everything was going well until you realize that these things aren't enough to fill you. So that's what I started to feel. I felt like things weren't really filling me anymore. Like I just felt like I'm just doing the things. I'm just doing the things. And I was finding myself going back into like that depressed feeling that I was feeling when I was living back in New York. And I was like, what is this? Like, why am I feeling this again? Like, I'm doing good. Like, like I'm back in school. I live back in Jersey with my friends. I'm working now and I'm, looking good and all of the things. So I started to search for, self-healing. Like, okay, how can I, be the best version of me so I can like rock this world, and I can like, like self-care. I feel like this is now like 2018, like this is now 2016, 17, 2018. Mind you, I graduated high school 2015. So like you can just tell like the context. So from 2016, like 2015 I graduated high school, and then 2017 I started college. So 2016 I started college, and then 2018 I moved back to Jersey. So yeah, so that feeling was back again, and then I started to do like self help things, and then I got introduced to like the internet, like you find things now more easily. So I got into yoga, so I started to do yoga, and I was feeling great. I'm like, oh my god, like I feel great, like this is so great. Like I finally thought that I found like the perfect outlet, and I just took it all in, and I wanted to go deeper and deeper because of like the results that I thought that I was receiving and getting. And then I started to learn about like what was it called, like even looking back I'm like I don't even remember why. I can't even believe or remember these things anymore, but looking back I remember like looking into like, oh, you have to like kind of learn about your shadow self so you can kind of like, you know, elevate. And then you have to learn about, the yin and yang of life. Like you need both to function and all of these things. And the deeper I got into spirituality, the deeper I got into things that I thought were going to heal me. So now to break this part down, I feel like I'm a little all over, but I'm trying my best to kind of like, like go in a timeline. So now we're in, I believe, 2018, 2019. Like I said, I got into fitness, and I wanted to be a fitness trainer. So, I'm still in college, and I wanted to be a fitness trainer as well, because I was really interested in the medical field, given that I wanted to become a nurse. But then soon later after, I realized that I don't want to be a nurse. I thought that I want to be a psychiatric nurse. And like, that's funny in itself. Like, why would I want to be a psychiatric nurse? Now I realize that is because I was dealing with my mind, and I just wanted to solve my mind. So I thought if that's what I became, it would have became like the solution for me, and I could help others and stuff like that. So that's when, like I got more into yoga and working out, that I kind of didn't want to be a nurse anymore. I just wanted to like be a fitness instructor and, do that. And then, yeah, through fitness, I got into yoga and I wanted to tie the two. So now we're in 2018. Like I thought that I thought I was doing good, but I was just living through the motions. Just remembering all these things are like hurting my brain low key. Remembering all the timelines. I should have wrote this down, but I don't know. But yeah, somewhere along the line of 2018, 2019, where I started to really get heavily into fitness and training. I even started to work at 24-hour fitness, and I was doing that for a little while, and then I met a friend there that told me about this other gym that her family owned, and yeah, I started to work in that gym, and I started to train people there, and that was great. So I did that. But then at the same time, during that time, I was getting, like I said, even deeper into like spirituality, deeper into like yoga. And with yoga, I got deeper into like learning about my chakras and all of those things that get tied in with that. And that's when I got deep into, I feel like the word would be like deeper into the occult, that I didn't realize it was. I just thought I was doing like, healing and self-care and, the light of things. But yeah, so that's 2019. And then 2020 hit. And as we all know, that's when COVID started. So I feel like when COVID started, since like I couldn't work at the gym anymore, and right before COVID and started, I had just graduated college with my associate's degree in psychology. So I was just, home now. Like I couldn't go back to the gym. The gym was closed down. I had just finished my associate's degree, and then I was gonna go get my bachelor's. But when COVID hit, I didn't. So my daughter ended up waking up. So I'm gonna try my best to do this, because I don't know when I'm gonna have another time. But I don't even remember where I left off. Started to get deeper into spirituality, and in around 2020, yeah, like I said, 2020 hit, and everything closed down. So I feel like because of that, I also like my mental health kind of like went down with it. I feel, because I'm like, okay, everything shut down, like my job shut down, like I'm not going to school anymore. I can't even work out, how I used to. That's when I started to take yoga more seriously, and I started to like get into the practice more, and somehow right there I ended up getting deep into, you could say, like, deeper into the occult. Like I started getting like angel cards, and I started to get angel cards and like crystal healing, and these things that you use in New Age to ascend and grow and be the better version of yourself, and all of the goody things. During that time that I was doing all of these things, 2021 was about to come around the corner. I was turning, I think, 24 or 25, because my birthday's in August, and then the new year of 2021 begins, I think. That's how what happened, I believe. But yeah, in my head, I believed that I was doing good because I was like ascending. I was like getting a lot of getting a lot of views on like my TikTok. I was growing my TikTok at the time with like all of my yoga things, and people were really like into what I was sharing. And at the time, I really thought I was helping and helping to heal other people and whatnot through this practice. And yeah, then like I was doing these things, and it was getting kind of like, okay, these things aren't really working like that anymore. And like I remember one time I was on TikTok live and I was doing readings to people, and I remember when I finished doing these readings or whatever, I got off and I just felt so drained. Like my head started pounding. Like I started to realize, okay, like this spiritual stuff is like real, I guess, because I feel my energy being sucked and being drained out of me. So I'm like, okay, like my daughter's awake, so like I said, like bear with me. But yeah, so all of these things were happening, and then also like I remember that like literally this how happened like within the same, like within 2 months before my birthday, and then like the month of my birthday of of 2021. Yeah, so I'm sorry. So it was in 2021. So I was turning either 25, I believe, in 2021, where I was getting out of like I was getting deeper into like spirituality and stuff. Back in 2020, I even got my certification to be a yoga instructor. So I was just doing that online. I was like being a teacher through Zoom at the time as well. But also like still being a trainer. So I was mixing, like I used to call it yoga fit, something like that, I believe. And like I was just putting the two together. Like I just wanted my fitness and my yoga to be like one, and my spirituality. So yeah, I was doing that, and parts of it felt really great. I'm not gonna lie to you, but then it just felt like, oh no, like this isn't enough. Like I still have so many questions, like why this, why that, like how do I feel like I have everything under control, like like I have the relationship, I have my job, like even though COVID hit, I'm still training, I'm still doing the things that I love, and I still look good, right? So if everything was good, why was I starting to kind of feel not good inside? But yeah, like even one time I was on my yoga mat on my back, and I was in this pose called Shavasana, where it's like your back is like on the mat, your palms facing up, and you're just relaxed in that state. And I think I even had like some crystals on me, and I was just meditating right in my head, and I just felt, you like it? Okay. And then I just felt like a deep fear come over me. Like I was like in so much fear. Like I looked around the room like, what's in here? Like I'm scared. And like I was so scared to the point that like I just got up and I ran out the room and like went downstairs, because at the time the room that I had was for my yoga space and my fitness space, and where I would do my Zoom calls to be a trainer and being a yoga instructor and whatnot. So then yeah, like those little things would happen, but then I would just blur it out of my head. Like, okay, like whatever. Like, I think this is just all part of it. Like, ooh, like, this is what comes with spirituality, like the bad and the good and stuff. So then, no lo tire. Papao. So then, yeah, we're in 2021. I'm feeling this way, and my birthday is around the corner, and I am feeling like my birthday's coming up. Why am I feeling this way? Like, things should be better. I should be feeling good. Like, I'm not the same person I was. Like, everything's going good in my life, right? So then, my partner asked, my boyfriend asked me, my partner asked me if I wanted, like, what I wanted to do for my birthday. That was really approaching, like, in a couple weeks or so. And I told him, like, oh, I just want to get away, like. So again, like, going back to, like, how I moved so much, and then I moved to New York to get away again, and then now it's my birthday coming up and I still want to get away, right? So yeah, so we go to New Hampshire, I believe, and we go on, like, this getaway thing. I'm pretty sure you might have heard it, like, the camp, like when you go camping in the woods. I think the getaway, it's something called, I think it's called, like, the getaway something. I can't fully remember the name, but I feel like that's when things started to flip mentally and physically. So we got there, and I was feeling like in between, like, okay, whatever, my birthday's coming, oh, like, we're away. And I think the first day we got there, or even the second day we got there, we went to the park, I think, or, like, to the mountains, like, to walk. And I was, like, so excited, like, yay, we're exploring or whatever. So somehow in this, I feel like this was the turning point, and, like, the way it happened is, like, the way God directed and spoke to me. Because after this happened and I got home, I feel like it paralleled with each other. So let me see if I can remember how to explain it. So yeah, no, we got there, we started walking, and then even somebody said, like, oh yeah, people get lost. Yeah, people get lost here all the time and whatnot. We were like, oh, like, how do people get lost? Like. But guess what? We got lost in the woods. And everything was going well. We was looking at the map, and it was, like, so confusing. Like, it didn't make the way that it was taking us. It really didn't make any sense. But somehow we ended up going in circles. At first, it felt like, and then, like, we really didn't know how to make it through. But yeah, we kept walking. We saw, like, oh, look, we can go this way. But then we ended up in the other side of the road. And in order to that, like, we would have to go all around. So we just went back up, and then we tried to go back in, like, to figure out how do we just get back to where our car is, because we parked, like, all the way on the other side. And we didn't even have signal on our phones, which was even crazier, to find our way around, kind of, or to even call an Uber or anything like that. Now we found, like, this little opening that we thought, like, oh, we can go this way, like, let's go. We were low-key, we were desperate already, because we just didn't know, like, where to go through. So we started going into this, like, opening, and it was just, like, map plans, and then it started to get muddy. And the floor got so muddy, and, like, we had to kind of, like, even, like, squish ourselves and bend down and, like, kind of, like, go through it. And I'm, like, so scared, because I don't like bugs or insects or anything like that. So I'm thinking, like, something's about to pop off and, grab my legs or something. Luckily, I had my boots on, but that was an experience. Yeah, we got through. I was so scared. And then we ended up in, like, this land field where, like, they were doing construction. So we're like, okay, we're not supposed to be here. and then somehow we made it down and then back on the road. But when we got back on the road, at least we were, I believe, a little closer to the car than when we were when we going the opposite way. So that was so scary. I'm like low key upset. Like this happened, I was scared. But then once we hit that road, that open road, out of that muddy and myrrh and like that, like being lost in the forest, and like you could just see like the open road and then the trees on the sides, and like you could just see ahead of you. Like it was like beautiful. And I might see if I have like a little video of that. I think I have to check, so I could just put it here somewhere, so you can have like a visual image of like once I got out of it. But yeah, it just felt so good. The breeze hitting you. It wasn't even like sunny, like you were hot. Like it felt good. But yeah, even earlier that day, it did rain. So no wonder it was muddy in that area too. But yeah, we got back to our car and we was like, okay, whatever. Like that was an experience. And I didn't think anything of that again until we got home. So we still had like 2 more days there, I believe. And then the second day, that we were there, I brought one of my cards to give myself a reading. And then I even like opened the reading and like I was like, like it just felt off. Like, oh, I don't want to, like this isn't doing anything for me anymore, I felt. And I just stopped and I closed it, put everything back, and then I put it away. But yeah, and then I was also just a little bit like, like going through it because I was on my menstrual cycle in this specific time as well, like on my birthday. So I was like, great, like all of this is happening. Like I came over here to get away. I mean, even though it was nice, I was still going through it inside of me. And then we came back home. But even before we went to this getaway, me and my friend who was my partner at the time with this jewelry business that we had, it was called Gem Soul. We started selling crystals and like crystal healing things, and then we started making jewelry for like waist beads, bracelets, necklaces, and earrings and stuff. So we were doing that too at the time. So we just had got a new order in with this yin and yang necklace and something else. But she was texting me about the yin and yang necklace, and that was the first time we kind of like disagreed on something. And she was kind of like, oh, I kind of don't think we should use this or something like that. I don't even remember the conversation, but yeah, she wasn't really feeling it anymore. So at that time, God was already working in her heart, and I had no idea. But yeah, I was just like, girl, like no, like it should be fine, like I don't understand like why you're saying this. But yeah, whatever. I went, and then after that, I went to the getaway, and then when I came back, my partner for the jewelry business at the same time, she hit me up again when I came back. So she either hit me up. Yeah, she hit me up because we rented this Tesla car and we went to return the Tesla car. So this was the day after we got back. So the day after we got back, she texted me this video about this man that was, yoga. This man that used to practice yoga longer than I had or have, and he was more knowledgeable in this than I was. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll watch it, but this video doesn't make sense. Like, like the caption that he chose was kind of like, oh, like the yoga is like demonic and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is weird. Like, like it's not. And then that's when she sent me that video and then kind of like told me like, yeah, girl, like, like just watch this. And then I was just, things just hit me like a like a brick in my head, basically. And at first I was reluctant to watch that video. I didn't want to. She sent me 2 videos, but the first one was the yoga one, I believe. I don't even remember exactly, but she sent me 2 videos, one about yoga and the other one about like the new age of spirituality. I ended up watching some of the video, and I started to kind of get freaked out, like what are you, like all the stuff that it was saying in it, like it just felt like, what, like I am not doing anything bad or wrong, I'm not doing anything to hurt anybody. I started to feel like it was just coming at me, like it wasn't, like nobody wants to know that what they're doing is wrong, right? So that's how I was feeling, and I kind of ignored it at first. But then again, like I don't know if I even like mentioned, like, even a couple months before my birthday, like God was already like kind of like telling me little things like, hey, like this and this and this, like, like this happened and this happened, and you're not feeling like, like this is right anymore. Those instances, but I still was doing it. So when she told me that, I kind of was reluctant at first, but then after that, that's when God started putting in remembrance, like, hey, like, you remember when you was in the room and you was afraid and you left? Yeah, that's how you know that, like, that's no longer good. So I was like, oh snap, like, my friend might be right, like these videos might be right. And then that's when everything started to kind of like fall down on me, and like I started to feel God like just like, okay, like Rose, like take a look of what you've been really doing these past few years, and really analyze what's going on. And then I'm texting my friend, and then like we're talking, and then she's telling me like, yeah, Rose, like all of these things are in the Bible. And then I'm like, the Bible? But then also I kind of left out that the second encounter that I had like with the Bible and church and stuff like that was when I was working in this job before I left to my aunt's house, I believe. So this, when I was living at my sister's house. Was it before or after? No. It was after. So yeah, so like in 2018, 2019, I had this job where I met this friend, and she was going to this church at the time, and like she would tell me about it, and like she came with me to buy me myself my first Bible. And we got it. I went to this church with her, and they were talking about like, the mother God and all of these things that I didn't understand. And then but yeah, I even like wanted to take this class with them so they can teach me more. And like I would have these questions for them, and they wouldn't be able to answer me, like. And I just felt like, okay, like you guys are just full of it. Like you guys don't even know what you guys are talking about, and none of this really makes sense. Like the Bible, like, okay, we like big whoop, but this doesn't seem right. So then I didn't go there anymore, and I stopped going. And then, like I said, after that, that's when I started to get like into yoga and crystals and all of that. But yeah, so then when my friend, and fast forward, like when my friend told me like, yeah, Rose, all of this is in the Bible. And, I still had that Bible that I bought with my friend. But I had it in the back of my trunk in my car for years. Because in my car, I always would have a lot of stuff in my trunk just to have it there, to not bring it in the house. So it could just be easy access, I guess. I don't know. But I had that there. So I was like, okay, then let me go ahead and go read this Bible myself, I guess. Mind you, I didn't know how to read this thing. I didn't understand this thing. Understand how to read this thing, but I said, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'm already feeling this way with while doing, all of these other practices. Why not give this a shot and see what my friend is talking about? I opened it and then I started to read where she told me to check out. And then I'm like, what in the world? Like, this is literally saying everything that I was doing. And this is literally telling me, why we're here, how this all began, what, why all this stuff happens to us and all of the things. But at the time, I didn't know how to take this information in, like going from doing all of the stuff that I was doing throughout my years and then now to this was like a big shocker, So that's when the Holy Spirit came in the room. That's when, mind you, like I said, I didn't know how to read this thing, but out of nowhere, I knew how to flip the pages. I knew how to go each book, each chapter, and I was just like, oh my God, and it was just like such an exciting moment for me, like this aha moment for me that I was just like, I have never in my life felt such presence. Like, I have never in my life felt such a thing, like such a light, like such a awakening moment in my brain where literally like I felt like the scales that were on my eyes were coming off of my eyes. And yeah, I started to read the Bible. Like, I just wanted to know more and more and more because I'm like, oh my God, like, why haven't I read this before? Why haven't I understood all of these things before? I started to also feel this thing called conviction where like I started to feel wrong of the things that I was doing. I remember I was telling my friend, like, even though some of the stuff in the Bible, like it's a lot. Like I said in the past episode, that the spirit gives life, but the letter can kill. So when you read your word, like it could literally kill you if you're reading it incorrectly, if you're using it incorrectly, if your heart isn't postured correctly, it can get really messy, And as you can see, like the world and the Bible, there's always this big commotion, and I feel like this is the reason why. But it literally warns us like about this. But at the time I didn't know, I'm new to all of this. So I'm just like, yeah, girl, like this is telling me this, but I don't want to change the way I dress. I don't want to change this about myself. Like, this is who I am. And then like she was saying like, oh yeah, no, like that's not how it, like you don't have to change yourself like that. Even though I was inside getting convicted of these things, but I didn't know how to control or like how to connect like this person that I'm learning to be, leaving behind the stuff that I know was just killing me inside, without realizing it. But then I grabbed all of the things that I owned about like spirituality and yoga and crystals and all of these things, and I just threw them all out. Like, I felt like disgusted by these things. I just felt like, ugh, like why was I doing this? Like, it wasn't serving me in reality. It was just, like the scripture says, like superficial. What's the scripture? Where it says they in Jeremiah 6:14, they dressed the wound of my people as though it were not serious. Peace, peace, they say, when there is no peace. Then the New Living Translation, it says, they offer superficial treatments for my people's mortal wounds. They give assurance of peace when there is no peace. And then when I'm reading the Bible, like all of the stuff that I was learning in New Age, all of the stuff that I was learning in yoga were literally being reflected back when I read the Bible, when it was just like yoga is always like, I would say every time I would start a class, I would say like this mantra where it was like, oh, my peace I give to you, like something like peace back to you or something like that. But it will always talk about like peace, having peace. And then it's like, this is telling me they give assurance of peace where there is no peace. And I was literally doing all of these things thinking that I was, like, oh, like I'm peaceful. But inside, and then after I finished doing all those things, it was actually getting worse. Like, I was actually getting more depressed. I was actually feeling more bad. I'm sorry, like, my daughter's awake now, but I know God wants me to do this, and I'm going to do this. And yeah, but just try to bear with me here. So yeah, I'm reading this, and then it's like, yeah, like all these self-help books are telling me how to do this, how to heal myself. And it's like, these are all superficial, what is it? These are all superficial treatments, like the crystals, right? Like we were selling the crystals, and these are superficial treatments. Like the mind works in such mysterious ways that we would literally we would use these things to think that these things are, like tools to help us heal better and, cope and stuff. And I get it, like for what it is, and they're beautiful, but they're not God, like nothing. Yeah, nothing can heal you like God can. Nothing will heal your wounds like God will. Nothing will give you peace like God will. And I didn't realize this, like, growing up, like, I would, like, go out driving and smoking and drinking. And I'm just like, God, keep me safe from doing all these things. Yeah, I would, like, pray to him like that. And, like, just, like, little things. Like, like, God, give me this. Like, God, help me pass this test. Like, God, do this. Like, but I never had a deep actual relationship with him. That's what God was speaking to me at that time, and kind of like putting everything in like parallel to me. And like, going back to when I got lost in the woods, like he was telling me like, look, like this is where you're at right now. Like you're literally trying to go and walk, but you're in the woods right now. Like you're lost in the sauce. Like you're lost in the mud. Like you're literally like trying to figure out, you literally think that you're good, but you're really lost, and you're just not where I like. How do I explain this? But yeah, you're just like, these things, like they look great because, like in the woods, it looks good, but when you're going around in circles, like and around, like eso te vuelve loca. Like you could get yourself crazy. Like I was getting anxious in there. So he was just showing me like the life that I was living was just causing this inside. Without me realizing it, but he was visually showing it to me. And then when we got to the other side, he was like, and now that you're out, I'm taking you out of that dirt. I'm taking you out of that cycle. I'm taking you out of being lost. And it's just beautiful that he showed it to me, that when I was going to come home, everything that was going to take place. And he kind of like, yeah, I don't know, but that's how God works. But, I'm still in shock that happened and how he works. But that's how I knew it was him as well. But when I got to the other side and we started walking in the air and the clear road ahead of you, and like you're on concrete now, you're on solid ground. You're not lost in the woods anymore. It's just like, yeah, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm gonna take you. And I was just like, wow, God, like you really showed it to me before you fully revealed yourself to me. Before I allowed my heart to be open for it to be revealed to me. So that's another thing, that God shows you so many things. Like, for example, like I said, like he showed me when I was in 8th grade with my friend who gave me the Bible. He showed me again, and most likely many other various spaces that I can't remember right now. He showed me again that, like, well, my friend, because she saw that I was, like, depressed when I was working in that job with her, and she took me to church, but it was just not the correct church for me. But somehow I had to learn about that in that moment, because now I know that that was something called religion. That's why there's like this whole commotion with churches, like all of these churches, they're all flawed. We're all flawed, no one is God. So it's like when you read the Bible for yourself and you have an intimate relationship with God yourself, you are no longer bound by religion. You are just living with God now. That's how I see it, but I didn't know that at the time. So I'm learning all of this, right? But at the same time, I still have to live in the world. So as I'm learning all of this, I'm getting convicted myself, but then I'm also convicting my friends and my family, and I'm also convicting my partner, and I'm like saying like, oh, you can't smoke anymore. I'm not smoking anymore. So you guys are going to hell. Like, you going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. So I don't know if you've seen that funny video, but I felt like that's what I was doing. But because I was new and I was very still in my, like, going through, like in that moment of like, oh my God, like all of this is wrong. So I was kind of projecting that on others, and I know it was wrong, but I felt like a lot of believers go through that stage, and it's just like the shock of everything, I feel. But yeah, so that happened, and then I just got closer and closer to God, and I started to read my Bible more, and things started to make more sense. I was no longer depressed. I was no longer anxious. I was no longer in fear. I was no longer feeling the things that I was feeling when I was doing yoga, when I was doing these things, and I was no longer feeling those things. And I literally felt like my I know that thing that they say, like, oh, your frontal lobe developed or something like that, but it was like more than that like I just literally, I felt like I was sleeping through life, and I had just woke up fully of like what is really happening. But again, still dealing with so many things, because now after doing all of these things that I was doing, I'm trying to go ahead and live, like righteously and everything. But in the midst of all this, it was really hard, because when you are in new age, like specifically, and you're doing tarot card readings, you're lighting up candles to different like angels and stuff like that, and you're doing crystal healing, and you're doing Reiki, and you're doing all of these other things. Like, these things are, in the moment, they seem so good, and they seem like so spiritual and so healing. But what comes with all of that, at least in my experience, what I've noticed and lived, not to like bash anybody else, but this is what I specifically lived, that after I stopped doing all those things, and after I stopped doing all those things and I came to God, and I told him to, like, help me, like, be better and cleanse me from all of these things that I was doing, I started to get attacked, right? And I didn't know this was real, but it's real, guys. Like, the spiritual realm is very much real. We don't notice because, you live day to day, but I'm trying my best to cut this short because, my daughter, but yeah, I got attacked. Like, I remember one time I got home and I saw a black cat in front of me, and I was like so scared to go in the house, because after that I started to have nightmares, like really bad nightmares with cats, like biting my hand, I'm bleeding, like they're watching me in my sleep, and it was bizarre. It was crazy. I was so scared. Like, I couldn't sleep for days after I came to God, and I threw everything, all of my occult, all of my new age things away. Like, I started to have all of these crazy nightmares. One night I even had sleep paralysis, which was crazy. And then also, like, I was getting home, and I went to my room, and I had white or like beige bed sheets at the time, similar to this color, and I was just getting home about to relax, and then was on my bed, and I saw this creature like in the corner of the room, and it was crawling, and I was like so scared. And then I call my partner like, hey, like I'm so scared, come kill this thing, like I don't, I don't like bugs. And then he couldn't come, he wasn't nowhere near the house. So he's like, it's fine, it's not gonna go on the bed, because I was like, it's gonna come on the bed. And then he's like, no, it's not gonna go on the bed. I'm like, okay, fine, bye. And then I just like, you know what, whatever. And then it came on the bed. I don't know how in the world it literally came after me. I know that thing was trying to scare and attack me. I know this because how was it over there? And it literally came directly to me, But yeah, and it got on the bed, and I saw it crawling like this, and I just grabbed the covers, and I'm like, ah, and then I just ran out of the room, and I was trying to like, see if I could kill it, because now I'm just like, oh no, you're not about to sit here and scare me. I'm with God now. Like, who do you think you are? Yes, I was doing these things in the past, but I am no longer bound. The chains are broken. You do not have a hold on me anymore. So, when you read the word, you feel this authority in you that it's just like, So in that moment, like I felt that, like, no, like I know the word, I know what God tells me now. So then I never found it, by the way. And that same night, my boyfriend, my partner, he stood watch, to see if it would have, came back or something. But yeah, I don't know whatever happened. I think it was like a centipede or something like that, with a lot of little legs. But yeah, like like I said earlier, I hate creatures and bugs and stuff. So that happened. But yeah, like when it also tells you, like when you and then I feel like that's when I realized understood the scripture. My friend also, when she first told me about, like, oh girl, it's in the Bible, this is one of the scriptures that she told me to read, where it says in 1 John 4:1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. So I'm like, okay, clearly these spirits are I'm testing, like clearly I'm testing these spirits once I stopped doing all of these things. They weren't bothering me before in such a way, but they were just like making me think that all these things were normal. But once I stopped doing all of these things, they literally started to attack me in my dreams, attack me in the physical world, and it was scary for like a good week. But then after that, they stopped bothering me, and I did not give in, and it was just, everything started to make more sense in my life, and as to why I was placed on this earth. And yeah, but then after 2021, this is all, by the way, this is all in 2021 still, like right after my birthday. So after my birthday, that was how God literally renewed me. And then come to find out that, after that week, I was talking to my sister, and God was talking to her too. And she's like, yeah, girl, let's go to church together. And I'm like, oh, like I don't trust church. She didn't trust church either, because of, what we know about it. And we ended up going to this one church, and it was nice, but we were like covered like this, like, oh, we don't want anybody to see us here. Like it was like the beginning of like learning and growing in Christ. So it's such a ride. But yeah, so then later on, we also found out that our mother was also having an encounter with God similarly, that he was talking to her too. So I was like, God, like, how you do that? Like, none of us, literally, I had not talked to my sister about anything that had happened, and my mom either. So God was literally talking to all of us on this around the same time. So that alone is just like, that was like, oh wow, God, like, you really are real. Like, you really talk to your people. Like, you really show up in ways that are unfathomable. Like, it's hard to understand or predict. It's hard to understand, but when you read his word, like, you can, like, it makes so much sense of who he is. But yeah, so then later down the line, actually, I'm gonna have to do part 2 of this because it's a lot. So I'm gonna stop this. Okay, so yeah, I am going to do part 2 of this, of because it's just too much, and then I'm also here with my daughter. So yeah, so that's most of how I came to Christ, and most of a little bit of my story. But yeah, thank you for watching and listening, and yeah, so till next episode of part 2 of my testimony. Hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. But yeah, so thank you for watching and listening, and I hope my testimony blesses you in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, until next time.